Hello you guys, welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host, Brittany McChrystal, and this is your cozy little corner of the internet where we talk all things wellness, mindset, and sustainable weight loss without cutting out the foods that you love. I'm an online health and fitness coach who's dropped over 25 kgs, and now I help hundreds of girls all over the world do the same. Today I want to have a real heart-to-heart chat with you. No fluff, no perfection, just me sitting here thinking about the times that I almost gave up on my fitness journey, on my goals, and even on myself. Because I know if you're here listening to this right now, there's probably a part of you that's struggling too. And maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel like progress is just too slow. Or maybe you're questioning if you're even capable of getting to where you want to be. Because let's be real, we all have those moments. You know, those days where you wake up and think, why am I even doing this? Why is this so hard? Is this even working? And suddenly that excitement when you felt when you started is just gone. If that's you, babe, I see you. I've been there, and I want to tell you the truth about how I kept going even when I had every reason to quit. Because I promise you, the version of you who doesn't quit, she's actually already out there waiting for you. So grab your coffee, put your walking shoes on, or just get comfy and let's talk about it. I want to rewind back to when I first started my weight loss journey. And if you've been here for a while, you know I wasn't always into fitness. I wasn't the girl waking up at 5 a.m. for the gym. And to be honest, I'm still not that girl getting up at 5 a.m. for workouts. I'm a sleeper, and if I don't get 8 hours of sleep every night, then don't talk to me. But I was the girl getting Uber Eats 4 nights a week, snacking on bags of chips every chance I could, drinking multiple times a week, and we actually used to have Wednesday night games night at my flat. We would put on 2000 bangers and play board games. It was so fun until it got out of hand almost every single week, and we'd end up at the club and then have to go to work at 8 a.m. the next day and then sit for 8 hours in front of a computer, only to leave my desk to go and get food from the food court. But when I first started my weight loss journey, I didn't stop all of my bad habits at once, and I didn't magically become motivated. And I still remember this one day early on, maybe a month into my journey, when I had this total breakdown. I had been walking 10,000 steps a day, trying to eat better, and I thought that I was doing everything right. And yet, I looked in the mirror and I didn't see any change. The scale had barely moved and my clothes fit exactly the same. And I just felt so defeated. Like, what was the point? I remember standing in my bathroom looking at myself and thinking, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I'm just stuck like this, because I wanted the results fast. I wanted to wake up and suddenly feel different. I wanted it to be easy. But in that moment, it wasn't. And honestly, this is where most people quit. Not because they can't do it, but because the results don't come fast enough, and they just assume that they're failing. And to be honest, social media doesn't help when you see these super fast transformations of people who look like they've just stepped off a Victoria's Secret's runway show. I was forever comparing myself to other girls online, wishing I could just look like them, and it made me feel like I wasn't doing something right. But what I didn't realize then, what I know now, is that real change isn't something you see overnight. It's something you build every single day, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It's about just focusing on the step in front of you, not the whole staircase. Because when you're so caught up in instant gratification, you forget how far you've actually come. And those small, tiny changes you make every day compound over time to huge changes. See, now I look back at where I used to be and I look at who I am now, and those changes are phenomenal. And here's the thing, girl. It's impossible for you to fail if you never give up. That same night I had that mental breakdown in the morning, as I sat there scrolling in bed, I came over this quote that said, "You don't have to feel like it, you just have to do it." And something inside me clicked. I realized I had been waiting for motivation to show up and carry me through. But motivation isn't reliable. It's like that one flaky friend who hypes you up on a Monday and then disappears by Wednesday. The difference between people who reach their goals and those who don't is not that they feel motivated all the time. It's that they show up even when they don't feel like it. So I made the decision. I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to feel excited every single day. I just had to keep going. And that was the moment my journey changed forever. I want you to imagine you're driving down the road and suddenly your car breaks down. You have to pull over to the side and you're frustrated staring at this massive, unmoving thing in front of you. Your phone is dead and there is nobody around you to help you. And you know you need to push the car to get it rolling. But the thought of it just feels so overwhelming. The car is heavy, stuck in place, and at first, when you put your hands on it and push, it barely moves. It feels impossible, like it's not even worth trying. But then, inch by inch, it starts to shift. Slowly at first, but as you keep pushing, the resistance fades. The weight doesn't change, but something does. The momentum. The more it moves, the easier it gets. And soon, you're not struggling with every step. The car is rolling and you're just guiding it. And before you know it, stopping it would be harder than actually keeping it going. This is exactly what your fitness journey is like. At first, it feels heavy. It's hard to wake up early for those workouts. It's hard to choose the protein-packed meals over convenience. And it's hard to stay consistent when you don't see instant results. It's so tempting to wait until you feel motivated to push through. But just like that car, waiting won't make it move. You just have to start, even when it feels impossible. Even when you don't want to. But here's the magic. Once you get going, you build momentum. What once felt like an uphill battle starts to feel natural. You stop thinking so much about whether you want to do it, you just do it. One workout turns into a week of consistency, one healthy meal turns into a habit, and one small win turns into unstoppable progress. And soon, stopping feels harder than keeping it going. Because now, you're in it. You've built the discipline. You've built the strength. And you're no longer pushing against resistance. You're riding the momentum you have created. So don't wait for motivation to show up. Push the car. Start now. Because once you build momentum, you realize it was never about motivation. It was about consistency and discipline. And I don't mean discipline like some strict military style routine. And I'm not talking about waking up at 4 a.m. and running 10K before sunrise and eating nothing but chicken and broccoli and pushing through exhaustion like some sort of machine. I mean creating small, effortless habits that make it easier to show up for yourself. And for me, that looked like walking every day, even if it was just for 5 or 10 minutes. Eating protein with every meal, even if my day wasn't perfect. And doing something active, even if it was just stretching. It's about making the choice easier, because the truth is, the more you repeat a habit, the less effort it takes. You build momentum. But let's be real. What happens when you don't have momentum? When every part of you wants to quit? Because I know someone listening is thinking, that's great for you, but I have zero willpower and I can't stick to anything. I used to feel the exact same way. I'm going to take you back to the start of my journey again, before I lost weight and before I built any sort of discipline. I was the girl who started a diet every Monday and had given up by Wednesday. I'd get hyped at watching fitness videos, telling myself that this time will be different. I would go and buy all the healthy groceries, and then the second I had a bad day, I'd be ordering Uber Eats again, convincing myself I'll start fresh again next week. It felt like I was constantly letting myself down. I'd have this burst of motivation, but then the moment things got hard, I'd cave. And it wasn't even big things that threw me off. Sometimes it was just as simple as being too tired, or a friend inviting me out, or just not feeling like eating another healthy meal. I thought that I was just lazy. I thought that I had no willpower. But what I know now, it actually had nothing to do with willpower. I just didn't have the systems in place to help me succeed. The thing is, you don't actually need willpower. You just need a system that supports you. I used to believe that fit, disciplined people were just naturally better at resisting temptation. That they had something I didn't. More self-control, more motivation, more whatever it was that I had lacked. But now, I am that disciplined person. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, it's not because I magically gained willpower. It's because I built an environment where the easiest choice was the right choice. So instead of relying on motivation to get to the gym, I made it part of my routine. I laid my workout clothes out the night before. I scheduled my workouts in my calendar like a non-negotiable meeting. I picked a gym I actually enjoyed going to, so it wasn't a struggle to show up. Instead of trying to force myself to eat perfectly, I simplified my meals. I stuck to easy, go-to options that I actually liked. I meal prepped realistic foods, not things I would dread eating by day 3. I found healthier alternatives to my favorite foods, and it's 2025 now, there are healthy alternatives to literally everything. And I focused on adding more protein instead of obsessing over cutting everything out. And instead of trying to push through alone, I found accountability. I joined challenges to stay committed. I hired a coach to keep me accountable and make sure I was on the right path. I surrounded myself with people who supported my goals. And when I felt like quitting, I reached out for help instead of silently struggling. And I didn't suddenly become a different person. I just built a life that made discipline easier. Think of discipline like a muscle. It's not something you either have or you don't have. It's something you strengthen over time. At first, it feels weak. It's hard to get started. But the more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the easier it becomes. And eventually, it's just part of who you are. If you've ever struggled to stay consistent, it's not because you're not capable. It's just because you haven't built that muscle yet. So start small. Stop thinking discipline means you have to do everything perfectly right away. The girl who is disciplined today, she started with tiny, manageable steps, just like you can. Start with one habit, one small win. Let yourself build from there. I started with just walking for 1 hour a day. And then when I got that down, I started looking at my nutrition and then my workouts and so on. Because once you start showing up, even in the tiniest ways, you realize you were never the problem. You just needed a better plan. Okay, so let's talk about those days when you feel like quitting. When everything feels heavy and you're questioning whether it's even worth it. And I want to be real with you, those days will come, no matter how committed you are. No matter how much progress you've made, you will have those moments where you feel stuck. Where the voice in your head says, what's the point? I'm not seeing results fast enough, and I'll just start fresh next week. But these are the moments that define your journey. Not the easy days where motivation is high, but the hard days where you have to dig deep and show up anyway. So when you're in that space, when your energy is low, motivation is nowhere to be found, and you just want to give up, here are 5 things that helped me push through. The 5-minute rule. Action creates momentum. There has been so many times I really didn't feel like working out. Days where I was exhausted, unmotivated, and just the thought of an hour-long workout felt impossible. But I'd tell myself, okay, just do 5 minutes, just start. And you know what? 90% of the time, I kept going. Because once you start moving, your brain shifts. The initial resistance fades. And suddenly, the thing that felt impossible is already happening. If you don't feel like working out, just commit to 5 minutes. Tell yourself you can stop after that. If you don't feel like cooking, just start chopping one ingredient. Once you've started, you'll likely keep going. And if you don't feel like going for a walk, just put your shoes on and step outside, even if it's only for 5 minutes. It's progress. And even if you stop after 5 minutes, that's still better than doing nothing, because every tiny action builds momentum. Lower the bar. 50% effort is still progress. Now, I don't want you to think this the wrong way, but one of the biggest reasons people quit is because they set unrealistic expectations for themselves. They think that every workout needs to be intense, every meal needs to be perfectly balanced, and every week needs to show major progress. But that mindset is a trap, because when you can't hit 100%, you convince yourself that there's no point trying at all. I used to be like this. I used to tell myself, if I can't have a perfect workout, I won't go at all. Or if I eat one bad meal, I may as well restart next week. But here is the thing. Progress isn't all or nothing. A 50% effort is better than 0%. A 20-minute walk is better than skipping exercise entirely. A high-protein meal with a few fries is better than giving up and binging everything. I had to learn that some effort is always better than no effort, and when I stopped striving for perfection and focused on showing up in any way I could, I actually became more consistent because I removed the pressure. So lower the bar and give yourself permission to do what you can, even if it's not your best. Number 3, the future you trick. Connect to your higher self. One of the most powerful mindset shifts I've ever made is asking myself, what would the best version of me do right now? Not the tired, unmotivated, emotional me. Not the version of me that wants to quit, but the highest version of me. The one that I'm working towards. Because she already exists. She's out there, and she's waiting for you. And every time you show up, even in the smallest way, you're stepping closer to becoming her. So next time you feel like giving up, visualize her. How does she feel? Confident, strong, happy? How does she move? Does she take care of herself? Does she make choices that align with her goals? What would she tell you in this moment? Because the truth is, future you is counting on you right now, and she will thank you for choosing to keep going. Celebrate micro wins. Shift the focus from just the scale. One of the fastest ways to feel stuck is to only focus on external results. I used to be obsessed with the number on the scale, and if it didn't move fast enough, I would spiral. I'd convince myself nothing was working, even though my entire lifestyle was changing. But then I realized progress is so much more than just a number. Progress is you feeling less bloated. Progress is getting stronger in the gym, waking up with more energy. You're craving more whole foods instead of the foods that you used to go and grab quickly. These are all wins. They matter. And if you don't acknowledge them, you'll always feel like you're not making progress, even when you are. So instead of just measuring success by the scale, start tracking how you feel in your clothes, how much energy you have throughout the day, how consistent you're being, because consistency is the real goal. And the last one is find your why. What is driving you? If your only goal is weight loss, it's way too easy to quit when progress slows down, because weight loss is not linear. You won't wake up every day and see the number go down. Some weeks it'll stay the same. Some weeks it'll even go up. And if the scale is your only motivation, it's easy to feel like, what's the point? But when your goal is bigger than weight loss, when you're doing it because you want to feel stronger, have more confidence, have more energy to live your life, to stop starting over on Monday, and to finally feel like the best version of yourself, that is what keeps you going. Because the journey is not about how you look. It's about how you feel in your body, how you show up in your life, and how much more empowered you become because you stop breaking promises to yourself. So when you feel stuck, come back to your why. Remind yourself why you started, and you know that giving up will not get you there any faster. Babe, if you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. You don't have to feel motivated, you just have to keep going. Because real progress happens on the days when you don't feel like it. It happens when you show up for yourself, even in the smallest ways. And I know, some days it will feel impossible. Some days you'll question whether all of this is even working. You'll compare yourself to people online. You'll feel like your results aren't coming fast enough. And you'll wonder if you're even capable of reaching your goals. But let me tell you something. You are capable. You are strong. And every single tiny decision that you are making to build the future version of you, the one who feels confident, energized, and free from a cycle of starting over. And one day you are going to look back and thank yourself for every moment you pushed through, for every time you chose a 10-minute workout instead of skipping it, for every time you made a slightly better choice at a restaurant, for every time you reminded yourself that perfection isn't required, it's just being consistent. Your future self is already out there waiting for you. And trust me, she is so proud of you for not quitting today. So keep going, keep showing up, and you are so much closer than you think. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for spending this time with me. Whether you're out on a walk, driving to work, or just chilling at home, I appreciate you so much. This podcast is a space for all of us to grow together, to learn, and to remind each other that we don't have to be perfect to make progress. And if today's episode gave you even the tiniest boost of motivation, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or tag me on Instagram so I can see that you're listening. And if you did find this episode helpful, it would mean the world to me if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. Not only does it make my day reading your messages, but it helps me so much in reaching new listeners who need this kind of support and motivation. So if you've ever got any value from this podcast, then this is the best way to say thank you. And you can connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is just Brittany McCrystal. Same with my TikTok. And also, if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, I do have some spots available and I would love to hear from you. I will leave all of the links below. I just wanted to say that I am so proud of you and I will see you in the next episode.